What's up YouTube, Anthony here. So I was out fishing the other day on a spot and I happened to turn around and notice that my Garmin was not working, just a plain black screen. No beeps, no lights, nothing coming out of it. I connected it directly to the battery, still didn't get anything. And I talked to Garmin support a little bit and they ruled out that it was in fact an internal error and it needed to be replaced. So today I'm going to be showing you how I ripped out my old Garmin GPSMAP 4208 and I'm going to be replacing it with a much newer and much more improved ECHOMAP Plus 94 SV. I picked this guy up on sale. It seemed to have a lot of good reviews, a lot of good features to it. This particular package does include the transducer, so we will be going through what transducer it has and how to install that as well. I didn't really see much out there already on these guys getting installed, so I'm going to be going through that with you all today, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so we're going to do a quick unboxing and see what all is included here with this 94 SV. Looks like we got the screen cover. Here is the unit itself, packaged nicely. This here looks like it is the template to be able to cut out if you are going to flush mount it into your helm or into any sort of fly bridge, anything like that. We're going to be doing that today, so this will come in handy. This here looks like the mount if you were to be mounting it on top of something. This would allow you to have swivel mount, tilt. It looks like your power would all stay connected and you could just remove the unit itself to prevent theft or anything like that, or keep it out of the weather. We won't be using this today. Like I said, we're going to flush mount, but this is a nice to have. I can see this is pretty well made. All the connections in their back are pretty solid. They have the rubber covers on them. Pretty sturdy piece of gear. These here look like some weather strips. I would assume these go on the back of the unit as we're going to flush mount it into the helm, help keep a little bit of that moisture and debris out of there. This here looks like the Nema 2000 cable. If y'all aren't familiar with Nema 2000, what that does is it allows your Garmin unit or any other GPS combo unit to be in sync with multiple devices on your vessel, whether it be your engine gauges, radar, radios, VHF, all that sort of thing. And this looks like the transducer here. These here look like the transducer mounts. If you were to mount them on the transom, which we will be doing today, hopefully I'll be able to use the existing mount that is on my boat, so I don't have to go drilling new holes into it. The existing ones are plastics though, so I may just replace them with these stainless steel ones. A little bit more rigidity and stand up to the weather a little bit better. Wow, okay. So this transducer is much larger than the one that I currently have. The one I currently have is probably only a quarter of this size. This thing is just massive. But from what I am told and understand is that it needs to be this big because of the side view technology. And what the side view is, if you don't know, is it not only shoots a sonar directly down, but it also shoots sonar, I believe 150 to 200 feet, don't quote me on that, to the left and right of your unit. So you can see what is off to the left and to the right, not only what is directly on center line. So that is why this is a much beefier and larger unit to be able to accommodate those capabilities. All right, well, let's get started with the install. All right, so the first issue I'm facing is my old unit had a much larger footprint than this here new unit. What I mean is the hole is much bigger for the old one than this one is requiring. So I'm gonna have to find a way to almost resurface the helm in order to install this new one. I got with the guys over at Boat Outfitters and they hooked me up with this King starboard, and what this is a high density plastic that can be used to recreate any sort of surface. It can be used to build stuff. They say it's just like plywood. So what I did is I contacted them, I gave them the measurements I needed, and then I asked them to have the rounded edges, if you can see that, give it a little bit more finished look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this onto my helm with 4 corner screws, and I'll seal it up a little bit, and then I will cut the new template hole for the Garmin directly into this. I went with the black because I think it'll kind of give it a nice little framed look. Might look a little bit sleeker overall. And I didn't want to get a white that would not be an exact match as my gel coat and my fiberglass, because that would just kind of throw me off a little bit. So let's see how this goes. All right guys, so we've got the starboard cut. I cut it out. I drilled the holes that would mount the unit into it, and then I also drilled the holes that are going to be mounting it into my helm. I countersunk them a little bit so I'll have a nice clean flush look once I put it all in there. So I'm going to put this up to the helm now. I'm going to mark the holes that I need to drill out in the fiberglass. That way I can go ahead and bolt this on, seal it up, and get ready for the rest of the install. All right, so I think I was wrong before. I was trying to read the directions and it wasn't very clear. So what I think had to happen was you had to remove this cradle from the top mount stand. So I think this should just click right onto here as if you're going to use it normally. Like so. And then this should fit right inside. All right guys, so I just want to do a quick comparison. This was all the stuff that came out from my old unit. You can see we got the power supply box, the white wire was the antenna wire. A bunch of these cables went from the unit to the power supply box, kind of just like a middleman. So we have all that wire for the old unit, and the new one, this is it. You can see we have the red and black for our power, and then we have our blue and brown, which is for the NMEA 2000 network, and that just plugs into the back. And it's already got an inline fuse. So just amazing at how much less foundation has to go into the boat in order to make this happen. Okay, so back inside the boat here, I just wanted to show you how I was gonna route this up. So I have a bus block, or a fuse block if you will, already installed in here. You can see I have my battery power coming in, multiple items going out, all fuse protected. So what I'm going to do is I went ahead and I crimped some insulated connectors on my power here, and I'm just going to put those right to my bus block that's here, and obviously I'll throw a fuse in there so it gets power, and then it'll just be a short run from there up to the new unit for power. Once I get that done, I have the old transducer cable down here. You can see it going down through the hole. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a pull string to this, and pull the cable all the way back out. That way I have a string in place to pull the new cable back in up to the new unit. What I'm gonna do is I got some pull string here, and I'm just gonna attach it to the old transducer cable, and I should be able to pull it right through to the back of the boat. It'll come out through the hull back where my batteries are. I just ran this not too long ago because my transducer actually went out, and it was fairly easy to pull through, so I don't think I'll have a problem with this. So let's see how it goes. One thing to keep in mind when you're running cable is to always make sure that your ends are taped up nice and smooth. You kind of want to create like a taper if you can. That way, if you do have to pull it back or forth, if it gets stuck on any hard surface or knotted up in any of the bundles of wires, it's pretty easy and slender to kind of slim through there. So I tied the pull string, I wrapped it with electrical tape. I'm going to set this down there in front of it, and hopefully it pulls right through. All right guys, so now we're back here at the battery compartment where I said I was going to pull that wire through. I'm going to reach down in there, grab it, give it a couple tugs, and it should pull right out. It's always important when pulling wire not to jerk or tug too hard. For one, you don't want to break the wire or the pull string, but two, you really don't want those to come apart. And if they are hung up on something, you don't want to be pulling it hard or tugging, jamming up against some other wires, maybe a connector that could possibly break what's in there. And there we go. There's my pull string. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this, I'll tie it off. I'm going to pull this old transducer wire out, pull it back through the back of the transom, and we'll go back there and we'll disconnect the old transducer from the transom. All right guys, so here we are at the back of the transom. You can see I pulled the wire all out from the back, quite a bit here. There's a couple more little screws holding it in. I'm going to go ahead and undo those. And you can see here's the old transducer. So as I was saying earlier on in the video, you can see the substantial size difference in the two. It's about half the size of the new one. I don't see this being an issue with my trim tab here or my outboard. So I'll probably just mount it right in the same spot. Hopefully I'll be able to use the same screw holes that this mount is using. All right guys, so unfortunately the old holes for the old bracket do not line up quite with my new one. I can use one of them, but I'm gonna have to be very careful when drilling for the others, just due to the fact that they're so close, which I might not even do. Chances are it will crack the fiberglass and flake it out, so it won't have a really strong hold. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to size this up. According to Garmin, you want this as close to the center of the hull as possible, or at the lowest point, without it being affected by either the engine and any sort of water intake or any ridge on the bottom of the boat. What that's going to do is that's just going to create turbulence in the water, which creates air bubbles, which will give this a bad reading. It says that it wants the bottom line of this transducer just about flush with the bottom of your hull. You don't want it sticking down too far, and you don't want it up too high. So what's going to work for me, I think, is by utilizing that middle hole and sticking up a little bit, and then I'll drill 2 more holes right here in the bottom, in the top. So I'm going to put that screw back in there just to hold it in place for me. I'll double check the positioning, mark the holes, and get to drilling. right, so before I tighten this up for good, I want to make sure that the height wise is where I need it to be. You want to leave a little bit of play when you're marking your holes. That way you can slide this bracket up and down for those finite adjustments. So I'm going to double check that the bottom of this transducer is just below the hull. I think it's recommended about 1/4 to 1/2 inch below the hull. That way you are going to get a good reading, but not too far up that you're not going to get anything in front of the transom. So I'm going to double check that real quick before I tighten these screws down. All right, the next thing you're going to want to do is we're going to go ahead and tighten down these bracket bolts. You're going to just want to make sure that the transducer is level with the water line. You don't want it up too high at a positive or negative angle. You want it parallel to the ground. So we'll go ahead and tighten those up, then we'll go ahead and route this cable up through the transom and then pull it back through with that pull string that we pulled. All right guys, I just wanted to note that there is another option to doing this install. Garmin includes this through-hole fitting here, and this is basically a 90-degree fitting that you could mount to the back of your transom here. The cable would go up and then in directly, and you wouldn't have this wire hanging here. Now, I agree it would look a little bit cleaner, but seeing as how I already had 2 holes drilled for these clamps, and this one would require me to drill another 3 holes into it, I'm just gonna keep this for now. I'll see how it works out for me. If it does get in the way at all, I can always go back and install this through hole fitting later on. But for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten these up a little bit once I pull it through. And I might even install another one down here a little bit, so it keeps it a little bit more flush up against the transom. All right guys, so we're back here. I got my pull string attached to my cable here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this back through. Now this cable is fresh out of the box, so it does have lots of kinks and stuff in it and wraps. So I'm gonna have to kind of go back and forth, pull a little, push a little, and get it all the way through. Again, making sure not to pull too hard. You don't want it to break anything off or possibly get jammed inside your hull. All right guys, so it pulled through relatively easily again. I'm just gonna go ahead and look in here, make sure that the wire is not crimped or too tight around anything else. Go ahead and close this up and we'll move back underneath the center console. All right, we're back inside underneath here. You can see I have the transponder cable here. I'm gonna go ahead and route this up behind this wall here. Kind of do a little bit of cable management. Go ahead and plug it in, and then we should be ready to test it out. All right guys, so we're inside here. You can see I got the wires tucked up out of the way. We got those connections made on the back of it. We have the sonar transducer wire here with that snap ring around it, and the power wiring harness. This is the Nema 2000 port, and then this here, I don't know if you can see it, but it's something called the Panoptix, and what that is, it's a whole nother system that's integrated into Garmin. If you want to learn more about it, you can look it up on their website or a quick Google search, but we won't be using any of that on this setup here. So now let's go ahead back to the front, connect the battery back up, and we'll see if we've got power. So it's probably taken a while to start up for the first time it's booting up. I'm pretty sure this already has the Blue Chart G3 maps loaded. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to go back home, get on the computer, make sure I download the most up-to-date software from GarminSupport.com. I will go ahead, take that and install the chip here, go ahead and make sure that software is all up to date. And then tomorrow, as long as the weather's good, what we're going to be doing is we'll take it out. We'll go ahead and check the transom for any leaks from those holes that we drilled. We'll go ahead and check the transducer itself, make sure it's in a good position, and if it needs to be adjusted at all up or down. And we'll go ahead and check the overall function of the system. We'll see you tomorrow. So out here in Pensacola Bay, we finally had a good day of weather. Nice and sunny out, a little windy. Caught a few fish. The Garmin's working perfectly. Everything that was advertised is working just as it should. I tried some deep water, I tried some shallow water. The clear view, the side view, and the chirp, everything's working pretty good. I had no issues with the sonar reading. I got up to probably about 35 miles an hour and it was still reading fine. So I don't think I need to adjust the transducer at all. So where we put it worked out perfect. Overall, I'm very happy with the product. It looks nice and sleek. Hopefully we'll take it out fishing here in the near future, see if it can put us on some good spots. So thanks for watching. If you guys want to see more DIY videos, I'm going to be doing a whole bunch more with the boat, maybe some with the car. So yeah, if you like it, go ahead and hit that like button, and we'll be sure to see you again. See you next time.